we're going to take the data that's in this profit and loss statement and transform it into a visual representation. We're going to do that using charts and graphs in Excel. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a data set for us to work with. So we're simply going to select the data that's in the profit and loss statement by clicking, hitting Shift, and going to the end and selecting all of the data. Once you've selected the data, click on Insert, come over here to your charts, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on the bar chart 2D column. Now, this isn't real intuitive because the chart that it gives you is quite frankly useless. There's too much data included in it to make it of any value. But the reason that I do this is that if I select this chart, I can then click on the filters, and as I mouse over all of these items in the series, which happen to be months, you'll notice that it's highlighting that particular month. And as we move down and we look at the categories, as we go through each category, you'll notice that it's highlighting the row, meaning that this one chart contains all of the options I might need to create the proper charts to visualize this data. So we're going to go ahead and exit out of our filters. Now we could create our charts right here, but what I like to do is I like to separate my source data from my charts. So I'm going to create a new tab, and I'm just going to rename this tab to Charts. Then when I come back over here, I have some options. I can click on the chart, I can go to my Design tab, and I can click on the Move Chart option, and I could select to move the chart to the Charts tab. Or I can select the chart, copy the chart, go to my Charts tab, and paste it. So we paste the chart into this. Now the reason that I do this rather than just move it to a new tab is when you do move the chart to a new tab, it makes the chart the entire size of the workspace. And I like to have multiple charts in a workbook, and so I do that so that I can adjust the size and create different types of charts. So for example, we'll start with this chart, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to deselect total because I'm going to make a monthly chart of net income. So I deselect total, I'm going to deselect all of my data rows and just turn on net income, and I hit apply, and what I end up with is a real quick chart that's showing me by month what my net income is. Now what I really want to do here is create something that's more along the lines of a trend line. So I'm going to go to my design, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my chart type, and I'm going to make that a line chart, and I'm going to hit OK. Now you might notice that we don't have anything here, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is because my row and columns are in the wrong order. So to fix that, I'm just going to come here and click on my Switch Row and Columns. And now what you see is I have a trend line for month of my net income. This is good, but we can make it better. So what we want to do is we want to look at our quick layout options here. And as you mouse over your quick layout, you're going to see that each chart, each layout, will have a different type of display. But the one that I'm looking for is right here, Layout 5, because it has the data table in it. And what the data table is going to give me are the numeric values for each month along with the trend line. So I can very quickly see what my trend line is, and underneath of that, I can see what the values are. This is great when you're printing. If you're just doing electronic versions, you can just mouse over any point in the chart and it will give you those values. But from a printed standpoint, I like to have the data table down here. Now I don't need this axis title on this chart, so we'll delete that, make the chart a little bit cleaner. And now my net income, you can see, is right there and is working very well. But that's not the only chart that I want. So I'll go ahead and take this chart and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to come right below it and I'm going to paste it again. So I now can see that same chart with the same data, but I can then come back to my filters over here and make a completely different chart. So in this case, what I want to look at is my total income versus my total cost of goods sold, and I want to do that by month, and I hit apply. So I still have a line chart here, and maybe this would be better represented in a different type of chart. Now last time what I did is I clicked on the chart and I went to my design tab and I changed my chart type. But you can also get recommendations from Excel. So I'm going to click on this chart, I'm going to go to my Insert tab, and I'm going to go to the recommended charts. And this is going to open up, this is the chart that I'm currently using, and it says what that's good for. In this particular one, this is good to display trends over time, years, months, and days. But what I'm doing is a comparison. So the first chart that it recommends for that comparison is a clustered column chart. So this will allow me to compare values across a few categories. I do have 2 categories here, so I can go ahead and just click on that. And you can see, now I can see that comparison. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to copy this again, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to paste it. And this time I want to look at annual. So first thing I'm going to do, I'll come down here and I'll turn all of the months off, and I'll just turn on the totals, and I'll click apply. So now what I've got is my annual total income versus total cost of goods sold. But that's fairly easy to calculate. What I really want instead is my expenses. So I'm going to turn total income off, I'm going to turn total cost of goods off, and I'm going to come down here and look for my expenses. So we've got accounting fees, administrative, depreciation, dues, insurance. So we're just going to click through and click on all of our expense categories. So we'll go ahead and do this. Now under vehicle expenses, we've broken that out to gas, repair, and maintenance, and then we have a total. I'm going to use the total line, and I'm just going to apply on this. And once again, we can see our graph is not doing what we expect. So we learned the last time, the way that we can fix that is we click on that, we go to our design, and we switch our rows and columns. So what we get now is a graph of all of our expenses. So this is a good chart, but again, we can make it better. So I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to look at my recommended charts. And it's saying to use a clustered bar chart for this, so let's go ahead and try that. Let's do what it told us to do. And it's doing a fairly good job of showing us where our expenses went for the entire year. But there are things on here that I don't need. So I'm going to go back to my Design tab. I'm going to go to my Quick Layout, and I'm going to look and see if there's a better view of this. And I like this one here because it's got my total values at the end. So let's clean this chart up. I'm going to get rid of the legend. We don't need that. And we're going to change the title. So we click on the title, and we're going to go ahead and change that to Annual Expenses. So now we have our annual expenses, and we can see our values here. This one's got a $sign, this one doesn't, so let's go ahead and clean that up. So we're going to just click on that. I'm going to right-click, Format My Data Labels, which opens up my box here. I'm going to go to my number, and I'm going to change this to currency. So now they're all currencies. I'm also seeing that this suspense line is a $0 value. Kind of don't need that $0 value, so let's give ourselves just a little bit more room. We'll turn this off, and we'll hit apply. And now we've got a real nice clean chart of annual expenses. So from this one set of data, I can create month views, I can create total views, so I can do annual, monthly breakouts, I can do costs, I can do expenses. There's a lot of different graphs and charts that I can create from this and create a better experience for the end user or consumer. Say we even wanted to get a little bit fancier. I'm not a real creative person, but you have infinite control over this. You select the graph, you can come in, you can very quickly look at your styles or your colors. So for example, if I wanted something that was going to be more of a dark theme, we could do that. So we'll go down through here and we'll look at our dark theme. Really don't like the blue in that, so we'll come up here and we'll go ahead and just change that to a different color style. Again, we want them to match, so we'll come in here and see there's a dark theme for this one. Not sure I'm a huge fan of that. Let's try this dark theme. Again, going to come down and adjust my color style, make that look a little different, and just work down the whole line until I get exactly the look and feel that I want. I don't like those hollow bars, so we'll find that one, and we'll come in and do the monochrome on this as well. So that's going to give us our three charts here. What we should do on this one, right, this is income versus cost of goods sold. Let's go ahead and make an adjustment on this. We're going to select the chart, go to our design again. I'm going to add a chart element. We want to add a title, so I'm going to do a title above the chart, and we'll just say income versus cost of goods sold.